We should be live now. It's my OBS. This is what I use for producing those live streams. Check the stream on another device. Do we have the audio? Yes, we do. Like, sorry for that. Just placing. We also on Zoom place the link. There. Put it in live chat. Have to make the window bigger for to actually be able to see that. And we quickly share a link for this. Post this quickly. Sorry, that's the new logo for Bionic Chaos. Yeah, it needs more work. So that's what I have as the channel. Oops. Make this window smaller. So we are on bionicchaos.com as per usual. Do some testing. Hopefully someone joins in so we can do something else as well. But let's quickly, last time I'm pretty sure, just move out of full screen. But that's the site. I still don't know why. Yeah, when you click the home button, this is a bug, but it's nothing major, I guess. So we discussed this tool last time, the image compression. Let me know if you have any questions about any of those. Happy to answer anything. Should know it all because we have all the source code and pretty much designed those almost from scratch now. Some of them are using LabVIEW functions. So there will be links to the functions below. So this one, for example, there is an inverse noise waveform function. Generates a continuous noise waveform with power spectral density that is inversely proportional to frequency over a specified frequency range. Yes, we actually would like to have more control over it, just so we can learn what it is, what difference these different things make. And just realized something we need to fix when we're clicking links in the page. It actually should ideally open in another window just so my own site remains open. Just, so you don't forget about it. How about we fix that one straight away? It's just something I found just now. And we're using the G web development, the software for it. It's also by National Instruments. All we have to do is find the link and change the target from same window to new window. And I thought this should be a default thing, but obviously not. One is 221. Just need to make sure it's all the same everywhere. Yeah, this is new window. It's good. Right. Yeah. A new window. There's a thing of paper. No, it's nih.gov website. I have another screen, a phone above my main screen so I can see the chat. But if there's any delay in my response, I apologize in advance. There's also this YouTube video, ideally meant to be over here, but I can't figure out how to actually place it there. If anyone can help with that, I'll be more than grateful. At the moment, I'm placing it within the HTML using iframe. That's the link, that's that window. But then to understand how do I, it will appear in a random, not a random, it will actually, if I place it there, it will appear below the screen, actually not above the screen like this one suggests. If I actually test this in the browser, it will be, yeah, below the screen like this. But ideally I want to place it, say, over there. So there is a container, it will be container, template, and it would be in the HTML code. So I can go search for it. And this is where it is. But then I'm not sure how do I place. So it's a control, resize mode fix, label 11, top left, text. That's okay. And in theory, is this part of that? HTML container, label ID 24. So it's a flexible layout component. So the question is, what happens if I copy this iframe into it? So I want it to be a part of that. Yes, this container. So in theory, should be As you can imagine, I don't actually know HTML, which is a bit of a problem. I'm just trying things out. So if I save this, um, run it in browser, and no, that container is still empty, which is no good. Actually, that HTML, so for some reason, it's actually deleted all the changes that I just made. So I don't know why. Do I have to like delete all of it or something? Oops. No, just reverting back at what I did. I think ideally I should place it um, like somewhere in the user interface. So ideally, I shouldn't actually need to change the HTML code. That doesn't work. The other option is to create this control a reference and the JavaScript reference. Get this reference out. And I don't know how to use it. Create a JavaScript reference for the element with the HTML container. We click more help. The JavaScript reference. There is just there will be not enough information on this. The node produces this output according to standard error behavior. That's okay. HTML container. Uh, I don't know how this works, but doesn't. Oops. Yeah, the keyboard shortcuts are also slightly different to LiveView, which is a bit annoying. Anyway, let's move on. Just want to post the edit something to Twitter as well. Just hopefully someone will join this conversation. Just a side note on a surprise, ChatGPT open is I just realized that you can so when sharing a conversation, you can actually, which was a bit of a surprise, generate a link that will just go to the conversation, which was a bit handy. And this one actually someone else have created. So apparently can share the whole thing. Apparently the person says that it's not the whole thing that I can see, that they had more prompts, more back and forth, and I can not see it here. I haven't, obviously there's a lot to unpack. So what I did is just asked it to summarize the conversation, and it did. And the author of the original thing, of the previous conversation, found this funny. So I don't know what does it mean. So essentially, I don't know if the summary is any good or not. And obviously, interestingly enough, I also keep asking what's binary chaos and saying that it seemed to be not a widely used term, which is fair enough. And then it's making a guess that it's possible that it's a unique term, specific term within a specific context, and it's not widely known. Can you please provide? It's asking me to provide more information, and yeah, and the bottom line is that this particular chatbot, the OpenAI.com, is not directly connected to the internet. So, and it has information up to September 2021. So I thought the OpenAI now has at least allowing you access to like a 3.5 or something. So now I realize why potentially Bing Chat is saying that it's not ChatGPT. Is yes, but then it's probably the same algorithm. They just deployed it in a very different fashion. So essentially, it's a version of some sort of ChatGPT 3 or 3.5 or something, but it is connected to the internet, like ChatGPT 4 meant to be. But I don't think we have access to it. But there, there is that. So just interesting to know that you can actually share a chat with a certain link, and someone could either see it, and if logged in, could actually uh, continue that chat. So that's actually an interesting thing. I don't know. Be interesting to know, like, say, for how long something like that is being generated, is being kept, in the system. Like how long this link would work, for example. Uh, and I don't actually see that option. So there seem to be a copy paste option, but yeah, we'll just literally just copy the text. Um, yeah, I'll just leave it, put it aside for a minute. It doesn't know what the levy is. Right. Released in 1986. Is it correct? Can it provide sources? Yeah, this is interesting. So this is not any of the other chatbots, Bard or Bing Chat were saying, but this one is explaining that it's an AI language model where responses are generated based on a mixture of licensed data created by human trainers and publicly available data. But it wouldn't tell you what they are, even the publicly available data. And what licensed data is it talking about? And who are the humans who are training this model? I have not been directly trained on a specific sources or have access to a specific list of sources. I should note that while I strive to provide accurate blah blah blah, my response will not always reflect the current news events blah blah. Yeah, yeah. We don't remember what questions we have it on video. What were we asking? A Bard and Bing Chat would be interesting to compare. Um, Actually, ChatGPT and Bing Chat, because allegedly they are the same, at least the same algorithm, but I suspect it was implemented in a different way. Giving me this 10 key points, some limitations. Yeah, event related potentials. It's something we will be, or should be looking at next on Bionic Chaos. Event-related potential referring to the electrical brain responses that occur in response to a specific event or stimuli. That seemed to be correct. Yeah, it mentioned P100 and 200. Source localization, not sure. Yeah, again, would not has a button to regenerate response. You can copy paste, you can select thumbs up, thumbs down, but yeah, it's not clear what will happen to that response, if anything at all. So again, if we're looking, say, at this tool, yes, we wanted to change the target for the links to open in a new window. I wish there was a button where I could do it for all of them at once. But the other thing, the reason I started looking at those chat models to begin with, yeah, this is all opening in new windows. Is, for example, if you're looking at the fuzzy logic, we would like to generate the description. Can we ask? Right, so it says it's generating quite a lot. Yeah, you can. You have a button to stop generating, which is handy, but let it do its thing. And the first thing, so it would. Can you get do you ever do you provide sources for your answers? Because Bard did say yes, it can provide sources, doesn't always actually do it when you ask for it, but it generally doesn't say no. Okay, stop generating. It's a nice button. It's a quick response. As fuzzy logic is mathematical friendly, it deals with decision making under uncertainty and imprecision. Unlike traditional binary logic, which operates on true and false, fuzzy logic allows intermediate degrees of truth, represented by values between 0 and 1. So let's see if Google that same sentence in quotation marks. There's something similar on techtarget.com. And Wikipedia as well. Yeah, that was comparing it to Boolean logic straight away. And this year seemed to be, so Wikipedia says 1965, so it's off by 5 years. Yeah. Right, this one does mention 1965. So fair enough. I'll give it that. Key points about fuzzy logic. You have membership functions. Fuzzy logic uses membership functions to represent the degree of membership or truth of a variable within a specific fuzzy set. That sounds like fair enough. These functions define the fuzzy boundaries and enable modeling of graduation of truth. Fuzzy logic employs linguistic variables which use linguistic terms rather than precise numerical values. For example, very hot, warm, cold can represent temperature values. So if I copy paste the whole thing, question is, so my other question is like, who owns copyright for this text? This crisp value. So we're not talking about the fuzzification. That's interesting. You can modify. Wait, know what that is. So if I make a disclaimer saying that some of the text generated on the site was uh, available on the site was generated using ChatGPT. You're trying to find any evidence for right. This is interesting. I have to put the quotation marks. The other thing, what do I have a place on the main site? Uh, place a regular blog. Where's the blog? The structure. I have to update the structure of the site. It's not super clear. All right, we had these two sentences. Can we place the link? This one here. Can we start it in there? Right, it will remember my chat from earlier today. But again, I right. a nice interface. This is a free research review. And yes, it may produce inaccurate misinformation. So this is our prompt. Do we need to specify? Now it is giving references. And those are not actual links. This is quite handy if the references are correct. And the question is this button. Unfortunately, cannot read aloud. I have to copy this. I just put in my desktop audio, make it a bit softer.
Fuzzy logic is a mathematical framework that allows for reasoning and decision-making in situations that involve uncertainty and imprecision. In the field of medical data processing, fuzzy logic can be used to handle and analyze data that may have inherent vagueness or ambiguity. It provides a way to model and process data that does not have clear-cut boundaries or discrete values. Here are some applications of fuzzy logic in medical data processing, along with relevant references for further reading. 1. Medical diagnosis. Fuzzy logic can be applied to medical diagnosis by handling uncertain symptoms and imprecise patient data. Fuzzy expert systems can assist in diagnosing diseases based on fuzzy rules and fuzzy inference techniques.
Referențe Zadefle a 1996. Fuzzy Logic in Computer Science. International Journal of Approximaterea Sunim 14.1.1.2.
2. Medical image processing. Fuzzy logic can be used to enhance medical image processing tasks such as image segmentation, noise reduction, and feature extraction. Fuzzy clustering algorithms can handle the ambiguity of image pixels and improve the accuracy of image analysis. Reference, Bezdek, J. C. 1981. Pattern recognition with fuzzy objective function algorithms. Plenum Press. 3. Medical decision support systems.
This first reference has nothing to do with medical diagnosis. Have to check it out. And I did hear that it can make up references. So I have to International Journal for Approximate Reasoning. Fuzzy Logic in Computer Science. Okay, now I'm suspicious. Okay. It was 2011. Did it just make up a reference from 1996? Right. Is this such a journal? There is a journal. Can you search this journal? No, it would have came up. So it made up this reference. The journal is legit. The name of the article is legit. But it wasn't written. It's crazy. Anyway, I just mixed up the author with the article name. It was odd to begin with because the title doesn't seem to have anything to do with medical diagnosis. Anyway, pattern recognition. Bestech JC. Really interesting. Yeah, it seemed to be somehow generating references. Bestech JC. It says 2013. This book. It is 1981. So this seemed to be correct. So supposedly there is a reference from this book saying that fuzzy logic can be used to enhance medical image processing tasks such as image segmentation, noise reduction, and feature extraction. Fuzzy clustering algorithms can handle the ambiguity of image pixels and improve the accuracy of image analysis. I don't know about that. Anyway, it will be impossible to check if it's correct or not. A medical decision support can be employed in the decision support system to handle uncertain patient data and provide personalized treatment. It's not very data classification. Just curious about some of the. There's a review paper. Gopal 2015. Is the title. Did make up another one? Right. Why? Just so bizarre that it will even do that to begin with. Like, because originally it was saying, no, I'm just not giving you any references. Now it reverted on itself, and it does give you references, but some of them are just fake. So it's making up references as well. Journal of Medical Systems. Does this journal even exist? It just made up a journal. Made up a paper. Crazy. Well, there is a journal. Don't have this article. Yeah, it's just super bizarre that it even uh, does it to begin with. Crazy. Because the thing is, that if you, it will probably generate like different references. But bring it's a book. From 1999. It says 2010. This book covers various fuzzy models of it. And this is not the same publisher. And it's not 2010. Yeah, it's crazy. The fact that it can make up references is quite astonishing. Turn my desktop audio off. So what if I say that the following text was generated like with fake references? generated without the references, is it? And the other thing is, how do I actually share this? So it's nice that you can switch between the different conversations. Uh, what do you? Find the library is sending me an email titled "What would you do without Google?" uh, go to the library, yeah. More often than not. It's just a silly question. Again, we have to realize that Google's actually not doing anything. They just putting all the links and information they crawl on different websites in a certain order, which someone actually pays them probably to do it in a specific order than another order. So I'm not sure what would we do without Google. Yeah, we'll find better. We'll have access to better information. Can I ask it to do the same? Um, This is an interesting thing. Right, so in one sentence, fuzzy logic is, in medical data processing allows for handling and analyzing uncertain and imprecise data, enabling more nuanced diagnosis, decision support, and risk assessment in healthcare. Okay. Now, same thing in two sentences. Fuzzy logic is employed in medical data processing to handle uncertainty, and imprecision in patient data, enabling more accurate diagnosis, decision making, and risk assessment. When incorporating fuzzy sets and reference techniques, medical data can be analyzed in a more flexible and nuanced manner, improving the overall understanding and management of healthcare information. That's fuzzy logic is a mathematical framework used medical data in processing to handle precise and ambiguous information by incorporating fuzzy sets, fuzzy rules, and fuzzy inference. It enables a more flexible and nuanced analysis of medical data, facilitating accurate diagnosis, decision making, and prognosis in healthcare. Fuzzy logic based approaches allow for the modeling and processing of complex medical knowledge, considering degrees of truth and membership to provide more comprehensive insight. Yeah. And as the logic or vacation. Fuzzy logic can be employed as a way for identification by computing, capturing the uncertainty and imprecision in waveform data. Fuzzy sets and fuzzy rules can be defined to map input waveform to specific waveform classes based on their characteristics, allowing for more robust and flexible waveform identification. Fuzzy logic based waveform identification approaches enable the handling of noisy or distorted waveforms and provide a more accurate and adaptable solution in signal processing applications. Okay, this is not bad. So maybe I will use it after all again. Okay, as the AI language model, I don't have personal ownership, personal ownership or rights to the content I generate. It actually just assumed personhood. I have personal ownership, as in, because it's even if the sentence. So potentially it does have personal ownership of something else. The generated text is based on a mixture of licensed data created by human trainers, and publicly available data. OpenAI, the organization behind ChatGPT, holds the copyright to the code and infrastructure powering the AI model. Okay. But yeah, it's interesting that it's assuming personhood. Oops. Yeah, before it was using pre-existing data, now it's dropped it. It was using licensed data, and now it's using pre-existing data instead. Right, so while I can assist with providing information and generating text, the ownership of the content lies with the respective authors or creators of the information. So who, it wouldn't tell me who they are. Also, content can vary depending on the specific information being discussed. Yeah, for the last, but anyway, can go in circles with this thing. I'll let the lawyers do that. So I don't have direct knowledge of the specific authors or sources for the content I generate. I do have access to a database of authors or source. I don't have access. The information I provide is based on a mixture of licenses. Same thing. The responses are generated based on patterns, similarities, and insight learned from the training data. If you have any specific question or need information in particular aspect, I can do my best to provide helpful responses. Right, and now, interestingly, it has this link. So what if I pop it into another browser where I'm not? Yeah, it's asking me to log in. So this, yeah, I don't know how the LinkedIn friend was able to generate the link from which I started the previous conversation. I guess maybe they have a paid account or something. What if I do? So this is not a bad sentence at all. It generates exactly the same thing, probably not fuzzy logic. Generating the same thing, is it? Oops. What's that space? Right, better. Let's check the browser. No, it's a different response. Fuzzy logic based waveform identification involves the use of fuzzy sets and rows to classify standard characteristics, considering the uncertainty. Fuzzy logic enable robust identification even in the presence of noise or variations. This approach provides a flexible and accurate method for waveform recognition in various signal processing applications. Fuzzy logic for a fuzzy logic is widely used in medical waveform identification due to its ability to handle the uncertainty inherent signal. The fuzzy logic waveform identification algorithm can capture the imprecise and overlapping features of different waveforms, allowing more accurate classification and analysis. By defining fuzzy sets and rules based on expert knowledge, this is interesting. I did mention expert knowledge, which we do like that. Fuzzy logic based approaches can effectively identify and differentiate medical waveforms such as ECG and EEG signals, supporting tasks like arrhythmia detection, seizure recognition, or sleep stage classification. The flexibility, yeah, this is so much better. Flexibility and adaptability of fuzzy logic make it a valuable tool in medical waveform identification, enabling improved diagnosis and monitoring in healthcare settings. This is so much better. Fuzzy logic for medical waveform identification paragraph from chat.openai.com. This is the date. Just check in the browser. Just because in this thing, I don't know why, the sentences are being cut off like that because they don't fit the screen. This is a pretty good sentence. This one actually. Yeah, this is perfect. I would have never been able to write such a good sentence. It will take me forever. So yeah, potentially. Now the question is, when would this sentence? So say if you take the whole thing, right, and you pop it into Google. So when would it just appear? No results. That's that paper. I don't know if it like paraphrased some bits from that paper or not. Oh, yeah. That's pretty handy. I'll let the lawyers, ethicists, I don't know, deal with the consequences. But it's better than not having anything at all. Just as a side note, one of the annoying thing in LabVIEW is that opposed to MATLAB and other packages, I'm sure R has it, Python will probably have it. It doesn't have a native option for box plots. So this also called the whiskers plots because they have those cat-like whiskers. So there's this box plot LLB was generated by Migration Bot back in 3 years ago, 2020. And it's, I think it mentioned the MIT license, which is great. By the way, my stuff is, should I use MIT license? I don't know. A community code, a code published and distributed through NI community is licensed for an end user through the MIT license, which is shown below. Copyright. Yeah, full name. I do not have a full name. I have full name, Migration Bot. So I have to put the permissions are hereby granted free of charge to any person obtaining a copy of the software and associated documentation files, the software to deal in the software without restrictions, including without limitation, rights of use, copy, modify, a without limitation, and to permit persons to whom the software is furnished to do so. Furnished. Following conditions. The above copyright notice, permission notice, shall be included in all copies of substantial portions of the software. So there is a copyright, essentially. In this case, will be to migration bot, unless they ask specifically how would they like to be, how they work, like to be shared. Well, first, we don't even know if this thing is working at all. We could try it out. I think it has an option to. This is a nice way to label the code. They can box plot. You have format plot function, compute box plot data. There's other 4 functions with no names. This one 75, 50, 25 percentile data. There's a nice documentation to it all, and suppose it can do this. Question is, if you can, first they look a bit off, I would say. Second main question is if you could place multiple of them side by side within the same chart. So that yet to be discovered. And then the main thing is that is that it probably, considering what type of functions are used, I would not be able to use them in web applications, which would be a bit of a deal breaker for me. So yeah, I suspect it's actually like drawing a chart, but the question is how do you export it and how you convert it into a JSON file. So that will be interesting, but I might put it aside for now. Just come back in a second. What was it again? Fuzzy logic for medical a waveform identification. There's another chatbot, apparently an open source. Interestingly, it's on a Wang Lab ML. It's called Clinical Camel, a research chatbot tailored for healthcare needs. Okay, it's a bit misleading. The word clinical in it. I'll be more careful when using it. Interestingly, it can change parameters and things, which is nice. I think that would be default. And let's ask you the same question. Fuzzy logic for medical waveform identification paragraph. Fuzzy logic mathematical approach dealing with information. Didn't mention EEG, did it? Going for it. Fuzzy logical mathematical approach dealing with information that is not definitely true or false. Can you give me one or two sentences? Paragraph. Just no, it's what is it? The 3 paragraphs. Right, this is better. Now it's mentioning ECG or respiratory waveform to identify patterns. Identify patterns and make prediction about patient health. It's used in medical waveform identification, involves creation of fuzzy logic system that signals based on expert knowledge and linguistic variables. And that's actually important as well, the linguistic variables. But essentially the idea is that you can transfer expert knowledge into use expert sentences, for example, labels of different signals. For example, description, sentence, actually open language, like a real language description of a certain waveform or pattern in a signal, and use that description for your further analysis. So the fuzzy logic system can effectively analyze complex signals and provide accurate prediction, but their accuracy depends on the quality and reliability of the data and the expertise of the professionals involved. this is actually much better, because the ChatGPT didn't actually mention. Let me run it in the browser again. Accurate classification. Apparently there's a newer model, a new version of this chatbot on Hugging Face, but you need to register. And there is a paper as well, but a preprint, which is great. Curious if you do the same, but you reduce the temperature, whatever that means. Okay. Well, if you go all the way up to 1, and the best thing about it for me is that I can actually just turn the desktop audio on for a sec. So this is fuzzy logic for medical waveform identification in 4 sentences.
Fuzzy logic can be used to analyze complex medical signals, such as ECGs or respiratory waveforms, to identify patterns and make predictions about patient health. Its use in medical waveform identification involves the creation of fuzzy logic systems, FLSs, that interpret signals based on expert knowledge and linguistic variables, and generate a degree of membership for each rule to determine the likelihood of a particular condition. FLSs can effectively analyze complex signals and provide accurate predictions, but their accuracy depends on the quality and reliability of the data and the expertise of the professionals involved.
That's really good. That last sentence was gold. Really handy. I'm just reading it again because this one was generated when changing the temperature parameter, and I don't know what does it do. So it just it generated our response.
Fuzzy logic is a mathematical approach that can be used to analyze complex medical signals, such as ECGs or respiratory waveforms, to identify patterns and make predictions about patient health. It involves the creation of fuzzy logic systems, FLSs, that interpret signals based on expert knowledge and linguistic variables, and generate a degree of membership for each rule to determine the likelihood of a particular condition. FLSs can effectively analyze complex signals and provide accurate predictions, but their accuracy depends on the quality and reliability of the data and the expertise of the professionals involved.
It doesn't seem to be much different. And this last one is with temperature all the way at 1.
Fuzzy logic can be used to identify patterns and make predictions about patient health by analyzing complex medical signals, such as ECGs or respiratory waveforms. This involves creating fuzzy logic systems, FLSs, that interpret signals based on expert knowledge and linguistic variables, and generate a degree of membership for each rule to determine the likelihood of a particular condition. The accuracy of the results depends on the quality and reliability of the data, as well as the expertise and experience of the professionals involved in developing the FLSs.
It's actually 4 sentences. Looks like 3. Doesn't matter. No, it is 3 sentences. And originally, if I asked for a paragraph, generated much more content.
Fuzzy logic is a mathematical approach to dealing with information that is not definitely true or false, but rather exists in a range of truth values between 0 and 1. It has been applied in various fields, including control systems, artificial intelligence, and medicine. In the context of medical waveform identification, fuzzy logic can be used to analyze and interpret complex signals, such as electrocardiograms, ECGs, or other physiological signals, to identify patterns and make predictions about patient health. One example of fuzzy logic in medical waveform identification is the use of fuzzy logic systems, FLS, for the detection of seizures in ECG signals. In this approach, the FLS uses fuzzy rules and linguistic variables to interpret the signals and determine whether they are indicative of a seizure or not. The rules are based on the expert knowledge of neurologists and other medical professionals, and they are expressed in linguistic terms, such as, if the signal is fast and irregular, then it is a seizure. The FLS can then evaluate the signal against these rules and generate a degree of membership for each rule, which can be used to determine the likelihood of a seizure.
Wow, that's really interesting. It sounds very plausible, only if this was EEG instead of ECG. So it's a big difference. But overall, the sentence, yeah.
One example of fuzzy logic in medical
That's
waveform
good.
identification is the use of fuzzy logic systems, FLS, for the detection of seizures in ECG signals. In this approach, the FLS uses fuzzy rules and linguistic variables to interpret the signals and determine whether they are indicative of a seizure or not. The rules are based on the expert knowledge of neurologists and other medical professionals, and they are expressed in linguistic terms, such as, if the signal is fast and irregular, then it is a seizure. The FLS can then evaluate the signal against these rules and generate a degree of membership for each rule, which can be used to determine the likelihood of a seizure. Another example is the use of fuzzy logic in the identification of respiratory waveforms, such as in the identification of different types of breaths, such as normal breathing, Cheyne-Stokes breathing, or apnea. In this application, fuzzy logic is used to extract features from the waveforms, such as frequency, amplitude, and duration, and then to classify the breaths based on these features. Overall, fuzzy logic has been shown to be a useful tool in medical waveform identification, as it can effectively analyze complex signals and provide accurate predictions about patient health. However, it is important to note that the accuracy of the results depends on the quality and reliability of the data, as well as the expertise and experience of the professionals involved in developing the fuzzy logic rules.
Wow. Yeah. Speechless. Really. But yeah, the first time it used ECG, if it only used EEG in here, it would be perfect.
Fuzzy logic for EEG waveform identification. Fuzzy logic can be used for EEG waveform identification by creating fuzzy logic systems, FLSs, that analyze the electrical activity in the brain and make predictions about patient health. The FLSs interpret the signals based on linguistic variables and expert knowledge, and generate a degree of membership for each rule to determine the likelihood of a particular condition, such as epilepsy or sleep disorders. The FLSs effectively analyze complex EEG waveforms and provide accurate predictions, which can aid in diagnosis and treatment planning. However, the accuracy of the results depends on the quality and reliability of the data, as well as the expertise and experience of the professionals involved in developing the FLSs.
It's interesting. I don't understand how does it decide how much to generate, but that that original sentence was paragraph. Yeah, it was pretty much pretty perfect. I don't know why I asked for a paragraph. It generated a bunch, but so I have to check for. Yeah, this one obviously should be EEG. Otherwise, it's pretty spot on. Now, question is, you can regenerate. Will it just regenerate the last? Wait, I wanna. Yeah, this thing is perfect. Would never be able to generate anything like that. Save that one. And this would be from source. And today's date. I don't know if you. That's the other problem is how reproducible it is. And I was just wondering if I hit regenerate. Yeah, it just regenerates. You can set the maximum output tokens. I know these are not the default settings. It looks pretty much similar to what we had before.
Fuzzy logic can be used to identify patterns and make predictions about epileptic seizures in the electrophysiological activity of the brain, which can be measured using electroencephalogram (EEG) signals by creating a fuzzy logic system (FLS) that interprets the signals based on expert knowledge and linguistic variables. The FLS can generate a degree of membership for each rule based on the observed features of the signals, such as frequency, amplitude, and duration, which are indicative of a seizure. The FLS can accurately identify patterns and make predictions about epileptic seizures, but its accuracy depends on the quality and reliability of the data, as well as the expertise and experience of the professionals involved in developing the FLS. The FLS can be used to improve the early detection and monitoring of epileptic seizures, which can help to prevent serious injuries and provide better patient care.
It's good. It's only it had some more information there. Yeah, it's pretty good. So yeah, this is potentially something we will be adding later on. Just an example. I'm not an expert in epileptic seizures, but I did work on it for a while as an engineer. So we could just implement an example, like an open source. You have control over all the parameters. Well, something down those lines of what we currently have on bionicchaos.com. The most interesting thing about it, I guess, first of all, this one is open source. I don't know if I need probably subscribe on Hugging Face. Tried the newer version. So I have a whole page. I just want to see. I don't know if it's reproducible. So why is it mentioning a mental disorder? Don't like it. As in, this one might be a bit better.
Fuzzy logic can be used to identify patterns and make predictions about epileptic seizures by analyzing EEG waveform data using a fuzzy logic system, FLS, that interprets the signals based on expert knowledge and linguistic variables. The FLS can generate a degree of membership for each rule based on the observed features of the EEG signals, such as frequency, amplitude, and duration, to determine the likelihood of a seizure. The FLS can accurately identify patterns and make predictions about epileptic seizures, but its accuracy depends on the quality and reliability of the data and the expertise and experience of the professionals involved in developing the FLS. The FLS can be used as a diagnostic tool or to assist in real-time monitoring and management of epileptic seizures. Fuzzy logic can be used to identify patterns and make predictions about the electrophysiological activity of the brain, which can be measured using electroencephalogram, EEG, signals, by creating a fuzzy logic system, FLS, that interprets the signals based on expert knowledge and linguistic variables. The FLS can then generate a degree of membership for each rule, based on the observed features of the signals, such as frequency, amplitude, and duration. The FLS can accurately identify patterns and make predictions about brain activity, but its accuracy depends on the quality and reliability of the data, as well as the expertise and experience of the professionals involved in developing the FLS. The FLS can be used in various neurological applications, such as
Yeah, because I was asking. Oh, sorry. Okay. No, sorry, I'm getting confused. But no, try. What I was trying. The measurement, which can help to prevent serious injuries and provide better patient care. We use today in real-time monitoring and management of epileptic seizures. Yeah, this one is better. So just having the same sentence multiple times, just side by side. Previous sentences, what generated previously was longer.
Fuzzy logic can be used to identify patterns and make predictions about epileptic seizures in the electrophysiological activity of the brain, which can be measured using electroencephalogram, EEG, signals, by creating a fuzzy logic system, FLS, that interprets the signals based on expert knowledge and linguistic variables. The FLS can generate a degree of membership for each rule based on the observed features of the signals, such as frequency, amplitude, and duration, which are indicative of a seizure. The FLS can accurately identify patterns and make predictions about epileptic seizures, but its accuracy depends on the quality and reliability of the data, as well as the expertise and experience of the professionals involved in developing the FLS. The FLS can be used to improve the early detection and monitoring of epileptic seizures, which can help to prevent serious injuries and provide better patient care. Fuzzy logic can be used to identify patterns and make predictions about epileptic seizures by analyzing EEG waveform data using a fuzzy logic system, FLS, that interprets the signals based on expert knowledge and linguistic variables. The FLS can generate a degree of membership for each rule based on the observed features of the EEG signals, such as frequency, amplitude, and duration, to determine the likelihood of a seizure. The FLS can accurately identify patterns and make predictions about epileptic seizures, but its accuracy depends on the quality and reliability of the data and the expertise and experience of the professionals involved in developing the FLS. The FLS can be used as a diagnostic tool or to assist in real-time monitoring and management of epileptic seizures.
Yeah, I think the second one's a bit better. Let's just try regenerating it the third time. Sorry for that. And we'll just highlight the one that sounds better.
Epilepsy diagnosis. Fuzzy logic can be used to identify patterns and make predictions about epileptic seizures by analyzing electroencephalogram (EEG) signals. This is done by creating a fuzzy logic system (FLS) that interprets the signals based on expert knowledge and linguistic variables, such as the frequency, amplitude, and duration of the signals. The FLS generates a degree of membership for each rule, such as, if the EEG signals have a high frequency and amplitude, it is likely to be indicative of a seizure. The FLS can then evaluate the EEG signals against these rules and generate a degree of membership for each rule, which can be used to determine the likelihood of a seizure. The FLS can accurately identify patterns and make predictions about the progression of epileptic seizures, but its accuracy depends on the quality and reliability of the data, as well as the expertise and experience of the professionals involved in developing the FLS.
It's really, this one is, yeah, I think it's so much better. I have to read it a couple more times, but it's actually giving this example of an actual something that a clinician might say, an expert might say, whereas the previous paragraphs did not have that. So this is very interesting and makes it so much better as well. And it's just, okay, just because it seems like it keeps improving as well, just do it the fourth, hopefully the last time. So now that quotation went away, that example went away.
Fuzzy logic can be used in the diagnosis of epilepsy by identifying patterns and making predictions about the electrophysiological activity of the brain, which can be measured using electroencephalogram (EEG) signals. A fuzzy logic system, FLS, can be created that interprets the signals based on expert knowledge and linguistic variables and generates a degree of membership for each rule based on the observed features of the signals, such as frequency, amplitude, and duration. The FLS can accurately identify abnormal patterns in the EEG signals that are indicative of epilepsy and make predictions about the likelihood of a seizure occurring. The accuracy of the FLS depends on the quality and reliability of the data, as well as the expertise and experience of the professionals involved in developing the FLS. The use of FLS in epilepsy diagnosis can improve the accuracy and efficiency of the diagnosis process and enable better management and treatment of epilepsy patients.
No, I would say the previous one was better. What was the prompt? Just write prompt. Fuzzy logic for EEG waveform identification in epilepsy. Put a source there. So this is the prompt. Just check it in the browser. Right, so we have the one from openai.com, and this is the prompt. And then we have And yes, our example is generic, so it's not even EEG, let alone EEG with epilepsy. But that's what we're trying to gear towards. So yes, these two paragraphs, it's looking forward, making a prediction of what will appear on the site, hopefully sometime soon. But yeah, that one is so much better in general. Put this one, the ChatGPT one, lower at the bottom. All of this stuff. So I had to just changing the order of that sentence. The source chat OpenAI date prompt. Right. Right. So we have two paragraphs. One is from Wang Lab, an open source chatbot. And another one from ChatGPT. We'll save this. We'll publish this later. my YouTube thing, I normally place the YouTube link as well. I totally forgot about it. Yeah, we better wrap up unless someone joins in. The idea is for if anyone is keen to try out BarneyChaos.com, it will be awesome. And in my sound for a sec. Yeah, my desktop audio is coming through the stream still. Someone joined in. You can hello. I don't know who that is. You can say hello. Or there's a link to the Zoom chat as well. If you want to just go live. Let's check my OBS for a sec. Yeah, I was confused which sound goes where. Yeah, the desktop. Currently have the desktop sound because I was changing to the board. And yeah, my notification. Yeah, I shouldn't be using it because notifications and things go into the thing as well, into the stream. Anyway, we added a few sentences both from ChatGPT about fuzzy logic. That's the prompt, fuzzy logic for EEG, waveform identification, and epilepsy. Sorry, that one. We use this open source. Check it in the browser. This will be this open source GPT. And that's the prompt. And that's what it generated. Hopefully it's clear enough that I didn't write it myself. And then there's also one medical waveform identification prompt from ChatGPT. So they were actually both really good. Yeah, this one was a bit better. And I regenerated several times until I think after 3 or 4 times it kind of stopped becoming any better. But the first couple of times it was significantly better because this one time it's actually generated this quote as if it's an example of something a clinician would say when trying to identify a seizure in EEG, which was a really nice example. So I used that that particular paragraph. So this is not published yet. This will be an update. You can publish it straight away and check it on the site just to finish this up. And last time, yesterday, we checked some of the other tools on the site. Please do check them out if you haven't done so. And let me know what you think. Even better if I can see how someone is using it online. Potentially tomorrow, someone said they might be available to check it out during a live stream. So that would be interesting to see, because I don't actually have been working on it for the last 6 months and I haven't actually seen anyone use it. So that's why it's out there, and it will be great to see someone actually using it and how they do so. So I'm just normally during a live stream testing that everything is working. Doesn't sometimes, yeah, I was optimizing everything for my screen. No, it is 100%. Yeah, the full screen option. So everything is optimized for my screen size, which is not great, as you can see, like cut off from this region because my screen is narrow and wide. So hopefully if you use it on your screen, it won't be too bad, but it's probably won't be as good as it is for me. But yeah, we can try and correct it if you actually let me know what the problem is. So we tested most of them. They're working okay. And yes, we were adding some more description. Probably tomorrow something will add the description for say this neural net tool, specifically for noisy sinusoid. So yeah, please subscribe. I'll just let me know if there's any question. I know there's someone watching but don't want to say hello, which is unfortunate. I'll finish the stream. I'll see you next time. But I'll just I'll post, actually publish the website with these changes, with the changes we made today. And I think I didn't publish it for a while. And I made some changes earlier this week or last week. So I'll add them there as well. We'll save the project, make another build. There's already 796 builds for Bionic Chaos. And we'll just pop it onto the server. So this should get updated. Should take 10 seconds or so. Yes, it's highly secured. Popping up with all this security measurements. So we updated this. The front page haven't changed because we don't have a new tool just yet. There is one in the pipeline. but we did change the description of fuzzy logic. So when you go down here, now there's this paragraphs. So that was the most recent change. There's 2 paragraphs from ChatGPT with this prompt, and this other chatbot, GPT, NLP GPT, and just with a slightly different prompt. Yes, so the other thing I'll just quickly mention is working on Bionic Cloud. This one, if you have any data that is not in the public domain, please contact me. I'll provide you with a username and password. It is a work in progress, but essentially you could have one of those tools made custom for you. And I'll see you next time. Bye.